maybe southern rock or country influenced song, it just sort of starts off with maybe a riff I really like, and then as I start building, you say, well, maybe like a slide guitar in the background would fit really well and really fit the mood of that. So in that case, for people who haven't heard my music, one thing that might excite you as a listener is, you might hear one song and say, I don't like what this guy's all about, but then you might hear something like my latest single, AD, and say, well, this almost sounds like, has some punk influence to it. It almost sounds like, Nirvana or CKY or, sort of skater rock of sort of the early 90s. But then you listen to I Remember You, has string sections in the beginning, and it has, sometimes it sounds really Incubus-like. So I'm kind of all over the place. And generally, my approach to writing songs or writing albums is, if I start writing it, I want to suit this song to what it should sound best. So if it would sound good as a ballad, cool. Then that's how I want to respect the song and the way of composing it in the way that I feel it should sound best, the way it should sound to me. And sometimes I go in different places. For example, this last song I want to record for the first album has piano in it, and I haven't done that yet. So it kind of works out that way, where it's created sort of a diverse collection of songs in that respect. But I haven't really, it wasn't really like the goal to set out and do something like that. It's more a serving of what the song should be. And in terms of kind of the overall theme, you sort of touched upon this, what is it that you're sort of going for? Is it a concept album, something like this? And I usually say sort of like this, these songs are organized in a specific way that are fit to be the first song or the first album. So, sort of what I mean by that is I have songs that I think, oh, this is going to be part of the second album or the third album that I could record right now and easily throw it on album one and make it album two. But for me, it's a concept album in the way that they are aspects of my life in that period. Sort of like these songs are a collection of my life from one point to another point, and that makes them a concept album more personally to me, but not in terms of a concept album to where somebody would say, like, okay, this is about Armenian genocide, or okay, this is about, the years of
Armenian
1930
genocide
to 1940 or something like that.
Right.
So there's a lot of different themes that somebody could take upon, but really for me, I would say the songs are sort of captured in an emotion, right? So I'd say, like, Pain is sort of a dark song, and it's often kind of a brooding mentality. The narrator is sort of like observing things around him and observing people and their behaviors in the way that they don't like. But I Remember You is more reminiscent of positivity with somebody that they haven't seen in a long time. Fall Away is a song about heartbreak. So I'd say, like, the lyrical content is usually the hardest part for me, but oftentimes the actual music of the song is more to invoke sort of a personal feeling of mine, and the music around it is sort of an embodiment, is maybe a good way of putting it, embodiment of sort of an overall emotion that's portrayed in that sense. So I would say to sort of narrow down what I said in a lot less fewer words, I would say the individual songs are sort of capturing a certain emotion, that are that maybe felt. And oftentimes, too, it's not just a very personal aspect to my life. It's not like I write about something that's happened personally. I would say it's impossible to not write a song that doesn't have a personal aspect to that.
I agree. It's absolutely, it's not possible, because everything that comes out of you is from you. And
right.
And I struggle with my own band about this. They said, write something that's, that everybody can relate to. Sure. I'm not going to sing Happy Birthday. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not going to sing
Yeah.
it. So
it's sort of strange. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it has to come from an emotional point, or you're phoning it in and you don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. If it's fabricated, it's not going to come out in an organic way, in an honest way to yourself. And I think, that's kind of it for me, too, when it comes to some of my songs and in writing is, some of these songs are very personal to me, and writing lyrics is really difficult. So sometimes just writing the music and having that be sort of like my way of portraying a specific emotion is almost therapeutic for me, and especially when some other people can listen to a song and say, like, this song really made me feel this way or moved me to feel this way. I'm like, well, that to me is a higher compliment than somebody saying, I'm going to go buy your album or give you $100,000 or make you like a famous musician. I think what I prioritize more as a musician is more about, reaching people in an emotional way or moving them or moving somebody in a positive way, rather than just writing a song for it to be popular and to make a lot of money, to be on the charts and write a 3-minute song that's quick and easy and pop rock. I'm not sure that's something that I would feel good about doing.
I wouldn't
kind
either.
of back to what you were saying about the positive aspect or the sort of the personal aspect of
right.
it. Like I was saying before, it's kind of a therapeutic thing for me because I'm not really somebody that really voices their emotions all too much. I try to be kind of the type that sort of sponges on. I'm like an emotional camel where I just build up these aspects of like, maybe I'll feel one way or I'm having a rough day or a rough week, and I don't really like to talk about it too much. So I kind of don't really wear my emotions on my sleeve, but when it comes to releasing music, it's almost like a release to me, and that's where I can sort of pigeonhole all that emotion and kind of put it into one song that can embody that emotion and that I can kind of push it out. And it's like my way of, they say like to talk about your emotions. It's sort of my way of illustrating or talking about emotions without having to say like, writing lyrics that are so blatantly obvious, like "you break my heart."
Right, exactly.
That's just not how I want to be.
Right, because that's it's throwaway, it's disposable, it's garbage, and with my band, The Wire Riots, everything I sing about it comes from a personal experience, and John Lydon once famously said that anger is an energy, and it energizes me to sing these words that I've written and portray, historical things that have happened and that are happening. And for somebody to go out there and just write, just like you said, oh, I love you, I miss you, blah, 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 blah. No, it's never that cut and dry. It's never that black and white. It's always, there's so many layers to the onion that if you are going to say something and you're going to continue to say it, you want to feel that every time. You know what I mean?
Right. And life is so, like you were saying, kind of intricate. It's like the equivalent of like, are you going to go pay $20 to go see like a romantic comedy that has the same plot that you can probably predict will already happen within the first 5 minutes of it? Well, no, of course not. I mean, unless you're in the mood for something cheap and, something gratifying that is easy to understand. And I kind of feel the same way about, writing a pop song to write a pop song. And again, this isn't ragging at any genre. I think there are plenty of people that do that right, and if they find the gratification, that's excellent. But for me personally, that's sort of how I feel. If I'm striving for like trying to be famous or successful or trying to get on a label or something like that, then yeah, I mean, I would probably drop 30 pounds, get a bunch of tattoos, get a goatee, get my ears pierced, get, sleeves of tattoos, and then I would try to write 3-minute songs that are really, really highly produced with, talking about common things that are something like that. But that's not really who I am.
Don't forget to auto-tune yourself so you sound like a robot.
Right, yeah, and you just have things that are. This is like fast food music to me at that point when you're trying to creatively manipulate something to fit in a mold that is meant to be easily consumed. It's the same way like you would create a hamburger or something and then just say like, well, I could sit at home and make my own and take really fine beef and, really articulate using fresh ingredients, or I could just do it all in a 15-minute scenario and just go and drive to Burger King and do something like that. And again, there's some people that might say I can do that in one thing, and I think that's why pop music, popular music is popular. That's why that is like the mold that record companies and whatnot want to use, because it's the most easily consumable for a general audience, for somebody that doesn't have the time to sit through a 10-minute song and enjoy it in the same way that somebody else might. A true lover of art and music.
Absolutely. And speaking of true lovers of art and music, let's bring it back to the United States, right here in Arizona, where Alice Cooper and the Spiders were from originally. Band's called Mono Sur. This is their song Ambiente. Right back here on Darkest Corners of the World, that was Mono Sur from right here in the United States, Arizona. Their song Ambiente. We're joined today, a man from the most dangerous city in the world, Chicago. Not from Chicago, pretty close though. Close enough to be dangerous. Close enough to be dangerous, my friend. So we left off talking about some influences, some what do we do with our songs as we're writing them. And I kind of wanted to get into, do you write the music before the words, or do you sometimes have words before the music? Or do you sometimes have an idea and just piece it together like Legos?
That's a fantastic question. I can tell that you're a musician yourself, because usually nobody else would ask that question. And it's actually a question I actually like to ask, and I would consider asking, like even some top level artists I really respect. And usually it's kind of interesting because I can tell based on how somebody writes, what they prioritize, and generally, the order in which they do it. If you're a singer or songwriter, you usually have better lyrics, but I would say like the music kind of suffers. And again, this is a complete generalization here. And then for me, I spend probably 70 to 80, 90% on just writing the music, and then the very last